Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the new moon in Libra that happens on the 25th of September 2022. Thank you for joining me. It's really nice to be with you today. The chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this new moon is going to take place. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to analyze that chart, see how the planets interact and what energy the planets create amongst themselves. Because the point of these videos is to try and understand the astrological energy so that you're aware of how you're being influenced in a positive way, and you can maximize that and have a great time. And you can avoid some of the negatives that go along with that, because on planet duality, everything always has its opposite. So let's have a look at this chart. First of all, this new moon in Libra, it happens at 22:54, so 10:54 in the evening, and that's based on Central European time. If you're in a different time zone, take that into account. But I always mention this because I think it's relevant. A new moon and a full moon, it's kind of a 3-day event, whether the moon is waning into being pitch black, as it does here, and being a new moon, where it pulls loads of energy in, or it's waxing to become a full moon, where it's totally lit up and it lets go of energy. So here we've got a new moon. By the way, if you were born during a new moon, if you have a new moon in your birth chart, and an easy way to see it, if you look at the bottom of the chart, you see the symbol for the sun, that's the golden round thing, and then next to it you have the gold crescent of the moon, and they sit together at 2 degrees. And if you look at your birth chart, which you can draw up online, by the way, two good websites, I think, astrodienst.com and astrotheme.com. They allow you to draw up your own birth chart. So basically, if you are born during a new moon, you have a fundamental pioneering energy about you, because the moon goes pitch black. It's taking a personal time out. It's saying, listen, world, I need to kind of do some self-care and recharge my batteries here, which is what it does. So it pulls loads of energy in. In this case, it pulls in Libra energy in order to kind of recharge itself for the next 28-day cycle. And during this fuel break, so to speak, the moon also asks itself, or we get to ask ourselves in turn, what is it that I want to focus on in the next month or so? What do I want to work with? What interests me? What are my goals? How do I see the next 28 days going? What's important to me? It's a good time to plant seeds of intention and to see them grow over the next month period. So there's a sense of renewal here. There's a sense of, I can do something on my own. I'm pulling energy in. And what's interesting as well is that Libra, this new moon in Libra, is a cardinal sign. So it's very much about, I take charge of things. I direct them. I make sure that if I want something done, I do it myself. I delegate, I lead, I'm in the spotlight. I take responsibility for this. And it's the 7th sign of the zodiac. So astrology is based on the seasons, right? So now that we're at the 7th sign, there are 12, it's kind of like the midway point of the year. And whenever you reach any particular milestone in life, at least in my experience, what tends to go along with that is a moment of reflection. It's like, okay, we've climbed Mount Everest, let's look down and see what we've achieved. And I feel with this new moon in Libra, it's a perfect time to kind of look over your life, your circumstances, your relationships, what is going on in every area of your life, really. And to say, okay, what is out of balance here? What doesn't work? What's causing me concern or problems? Where can I improve? And you have this wonderful overview. What's coming to mind is the Queen of Swords in the tarot. You're seeing everything that's going on in your life very clearly. And the main intention, the thing that you are focused on, is creating balance and peace and consistency and contentment in your life. Libra is the scales, right? It's the only sign of the zodiac that isn't a living thing. And it's about this objective place of unity among the duality. It's finding the eye of the storm, a sense of calm, where you are in control. And again, in the tarot, the scales of Libra appear in the Justice card, the 11th card of the major arcana. It's about cause and effect. What you put, you get. What you put in, you get out. So that balance is important because it allows you to manage your life more effectively. If you have control of a certain situation and you say, okay, if I spend 5 hours on this being productive, then that's what I'll get from it. It allows you to really schedule your life because everything is in place and it's very organized and it's running. Libras are often very beautifully dressed. They often look very elegant and they have a certain sense of style. Libra understands that appearance is as important as the action behind it, and a sense of community is really important to Libra. So it maximizes and it uses all these things that bring people together. So seeing the other person's point of view, having empathy, being compassionate, being reasonable and fair. Also, your appearance, doing something that you're proud of so that other people, I don't know, the whole, excuse me, the whole appearance thing with Libra, yes, they do have an innate sense of style. Some don't, I think. But the whole thing is Libra is image conscious. And what I'm trying to express in a very bad way is that being image conscious allows you to create a sense of community around you. Like if you know certain people are attracted to a particular energy or look or something, and you can actually create that for yourself, then you always have people around you who are attracted to that thing. So this being a new moon, the moon is saying, okay, I need to make plans for the future here. What am I going to focus on? It's at 2 degrees in Libra. 1 and 2 in numerology is relationship, cooperation, communication. So relationships are key here. What am I going to do with my relationships? Family, colleagues, where do I belong? So it's not just about my friends and I feel like I'm a part of something, but you'll want to connect with the people who are most important to you and where you feel a sense of home. So it's like if I go home for the weekend or whatever, like a few days, and I'm around people I love, then maybe this horrible anxiety will go away. I can take a breath, I can calm down, and then I can take stock of my life and see what I want to change and what's good and what isn't. It's this sense of I want to be home and I want a time out. I want a little bit of peace and quiet. So knowing that here on the 25th of September, and it does fall on a weekend, so maybe on this day you can take an hour or two for yourself to really get things structured well in your own mind. If things do feel over the top or out of order and you want to create more predictability in your life. So the moon in astrology is your heart. It's what you feel and it's what comes easily. And at 2 degrees in Libra, you just want to belong and you want to feel loved and you want to take care of other people and feel a sense of community. The sun is your head. It's what you're striving towards. And it's the same thing as the moon, obviously. So it's at 2 degrees in Libra. And even on a conscious level, what's most important to you are your relationships, talking to people, getting creative, having fun, expressing yourself, but particularly in connection with other people and enjoying that sense of community. Shared experience is super important. So the moon is pulling all this in. So the first thing that what's available to you then by this new moon is which relationships in my life don't work, which are problematic, and which ones can I improve if I make a bit of an effort. I really feel this is a very healing moon, particularly when it comes to relationships where there's resentment or there's been an estrangement. If the love is there, you're able to talk through any kind of issues that you've got, and you're able to fundamentally heal a relationship and put it back together again, which is really significant and important because we all mess up in friendships and relationships, and we all deserve a second chance, I suppose. Yeah. Mercury is at 27 degrees in Virgo, so that's very strict and organized and analytical and rigid. Mercury is the communication planet in Virgo. It's about I want to analyze, I want to research, get all the information, make sense of it so that I feel like I'm an expert and I've got a special edge. I know more than other people, so I'll be prepared for the worst if it comes, right? Mercury is in retrograde, so it appears to go backwards, and Mercury retrograde allows you to see things differently. It's not so good at action and the everyday communicative running of things. That's why light bulbs go and computers don't work and someone gets the wrong end of the stick when you're saying something, letters disappear. It's just a pain. Communication just becomes more stifled. The point of it is to take a step back, and this happens 3 to 4 times a year. So the fact that Mercury does go retrograde is kind of an indicator that every few months, we need to check ourselves and our perspective on life. And the underlying message there, the implication, is that sometimes we get it wrong and that we need to continually take inventory and take stock of where we're at and what we're doing and what we're using our energy on if we want to have a fabulous experience. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't do that every few months. I don't say, so the astrology is saying that life moves quickly and you need to kind of keep up here and change things for yourself if you want things to function. Because, I mean, this is the message I'm getting. Apparently, your life is like a house. It needs upkeep if you want it to shine and sparkle in the sunlight. If you neglect it, the paint is going to peel and it's going to look run down and it's going to be cold and damp and it's not going to be such a fun place to live. The most Virgo example ever. Venus is at 25 degrees in Virgo. Venus is the planet of love, beauty, and creativity. In Virgo, she draws paintings using pointillism. You know that technique where they just do little dots to create a whole image? It's insanely specific. It's annoyingly accurate. Venus is focused on the physical as well. And Virgo is about order and doing things that are good and right. And it's very... I'm a Virgo, right? I can... No, I can't. No, I love Virgo, obviously, but it does have some traits which are kind of laughable because it gets so obsessive. It's like every little detail needs to be right. And it's kind of like, just relax, you know? Can you relax? Take a breath. So Venus at 25 degrees, 2 and 5 is 7, that's creativity. Venus is the creative planet. And Virgo is an earth sign. So using the best of Venus in Virgo, so ignoring the obsession and ability to organize. Excuse me, someone's at my door, but I'm going to ignore it. The good thing about Venus in Virgo, with it being an earth sign, is that you're able to express yourself in a physical, tangible way. So getting creative, art, sculpture, clay, your own physical body if you want to make changes there. So with Mercury sitting next to it, you'll see things differently and your taste and your ideal of beauty may change. So you may even be interested or have a completely different perspective on a person or a place or a thing than you did before. So that may seem a bit jarring and abrupt. It's like, wow, I had nothing but contempt a week ago and now think they're the most beautiful person on the planet. That's an extreme example of how this can flip. And then with those two personal planets, Venus and Mercury, sitting on the new moon in Libra, it's very much like, what is it that you think about your relationships? How can you bring more love into your life, more joy into your life? And what can you do over the next 28-day period to ensure that happens? So I think a lot of people, and this is nice, I don't think I've ever said this, people are going to look at where they owe an apology or they're going to, so it's a great time to take stock of yourself and your life and where you're at and how you want to appear to other people through your behavior, what you're proud of, what you're not so proud of. And it's a great time for like an emotional clean out. And matching the public perception of who you are with your personal perception of who you are. You know, like some people have a particular type of life and certain morals and values and standards. And then, for instance, they get into politics and they have to present a certain thing because they have an audience or what are they, constituents or something who expect a certain type of representative. And that person can often then dismiss their own personality and morals in order to take on this job. And that's often where the scandals happen. It's like this person who publicly supports these kind of things behind closed doors is actually doing this. And that's always, I mean, it's not nice for the people being lied to, but it's also not nice for the person who's doing that job because they're trying to be something they're not. And the emptiness of that must feel horrible. So I think that's a good example of how all of us try to live authentic lives and to be in roles which are tailor-made for us, or you can be yourself in a certain role. That's the truth in anything. I'm sorry I'm arguing with myself here, but like in a relationship, if you have to play a certain role in that relationship, like a gender role or something that's expected, it's like, but if it's like an authentic partnership between two souls who want to be together, then it's a totally different story. And the same thing applies here. That standard of, are you in love with your environment, where you live, the people in your life, your job? And it's really, on one hand, it seems excessive. It's like, really, let's get real here, universe. Can I really love every aspect of my life? Aren't you asking a bit much? This isn't like a fairy tale, right? But then on the other hand, the universe keeps reminding us during times like this that do take stock of your life and make sure everything that you love, every aspect of it, because apparently it's possible to do that. So if anything's missing, the universe is saying, please look again, and then set some intentions for the next 28 days to amend those situations that don't bring you joy. And with all these qualities, you'll make huge inroads in that. Okay, the rising sign of this chart is Cancer at 15 degrees. The rising sign is the default setting because the rising sign is the sign of the zodiac that's coming up over the horizon at this moment. So it's like sunrise, right? So it's the promise of a whole day with Cancer sitting on the horizon during that moment. The default setting is to find opportunities to take care and to help other people. So again, relationships are hugely important. You're figuring things out for yourself, you're amending relationships, but you're also being very nurturing towards other people. So you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. You're being nurturing, supportive, loving. The moon in itself forms a couple of aspect patterns with other things in this chart. So first of all, it's conjunct to Mercury and Venus, I've mentioned that. But then it forms a sesqui square, it's 135 degrees away from Uranus in Taurus and the North Node in Taurus. So Uranus is electricity, the miraculous, it's action, it's the unexpected, it's something drastic. In Taurus, changes to your practical circumstances, your life as it looks, which is what you're contemplating via this new moon in Libra anyway. And it's at 18 degrees. So Uranus is saying, yes, you can look around your life and amend it, but what's also a good idea to do on this day is to look beyond what already exists and to look at how you, in an ideal world, in an ideal setting, ask yourself how your life could look. So rather than taking something that is and tweaking it and changing it so it looks glorious and pleasing to you, it's saying look beyond that and go to the ideal of what life could be. And focus on that a little bit and allow yourself to feel it, because if you go to that deeper level, you'll really discover things that actually are possible to do on this planet while you're here. And that's going to allow you to set goals, which aren't just goals, they're really soul desires, they're lifelong hopes and dreams. And if you kind of pull them out of yourself and look at them, then today you can make amazing plans to realize those hopes and dreams in your physical, actual life. And the North Node at 15 degrees in Taurus says there's an opportunity here on this day during this new moon to do exactly that. One, understand what your genuine hopes and dreams for your life are, to discover them, and then to action them. The next aspect pattern, rather, not the next opposition, because the thing I just mentioned is a sesqui square. Now moving on to an opposition between the new moon and Jupiter at 3 degrees in Aries. Jupiter is the lucky planet. It's about expansion and growth. It rules Sagittarius, so that's why Sagittarians are said to be lucky, because they're adventurous, they want to live their life purpose, they're able to live in the moment and the future and do both and kind of close the distance between the present and the future. So they're always on a mission and going. But Jupiter can also be very excessive because it is the biggest planet in the solar system. It can be too much of a good thing. Jupiter's in Aries here, so there's this excessive drive to push and to do things on your own and to get things done. It's at 3 degrees, communication and the way you think. So in your mind, you're very much ready to get things moving and to just act. So combined with the research team down here of the new moon in Libra and Mercury and Venus in Virgo, your perspective is going to change massively. Jupiter is going to say immediately jump on any idea or realization and do something with it. And I feel that's the thing to resist, because Mercury retrograde, it's there for a reason. It's there to reevaluate and to see what's important. And then when it clicks into forward mode again, those things are often kind of sink into the subconscious mind and become new inner beliefs, right? But the thing about this isn't to immediately act on every little thought and idea that you get. It's about evaluating everything and then coming up with an overview. So if you have this, if something happens, great idea, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do it immediately without any planning or without any details in place, then just put on the brakes a little bit and resist that and say, at least if possible, I've got another week here until the 2nd of October. I'm going to continue to do research for one more week. And then by the end of that, I'll have a really good action plan. And then I'm going to jump into action because Jupiter is still going to be in Aries in a week from now. It's just kind of distracting you by saying, okay, enough research, let's just go and do it. It's like when you get that furniture from IKEA and you just put the table together instead of reading the instructions, then you put it together and you've got a bunch of screws left over afterwards and you push it and the whole thing falls apart. It's that kind of vibe. So if you want the table to stick, then more research is a good idea, says Gregory Scott. Then we've got another sesqui square, so, excuse me, so 135 degrees to Saturn in Aquarius at 19 degrees. So Saturn is the structure and the rules and what's really solid and unshakable. And in Aquarius, it's ideas, it's learning, it's the greater wisdom of other humans who've been on this planet and learned and done things. And also there's a value and seeing beauty in the act of service and being charitable and teaching others and allowing them into your process rather than just keeping it all for yourself. 1 and 9 is 10, that reduces to 1 in numerology. So Saturn in Aquarius urges you and encourages you to get the information that you need to become more solid in what you're doing. And again, it's echoing what I said a moment ago. It's saying, please do more research. I'm giving you the presence of mind and the consistency to do that, to expose yourself to as much information as you can so that you have, again, a really good action plan as to how you can realize your own hopes and dreams in future and be of service to yourself. So it's kind of like the chart is saying, okay, we're halfway through the year, as in the seasons. Take stock of where you are and what you want to do for yourself now. I'm just thinking, a lot of us are kind of coached into being a certain way and we accept it. It's a very big topic. But then fundamentally, internally, we may want totally different things. And most of us bend to society and say, okay, well, this is how, let's say I'm a 40-year-old man, 41-year-old man. Certain things are available and easy to a person like that in society, and it would be harder for someone who's different. So let's say a 20-year-old woman is going to have other areas where she excels and that are easier and work for her, right? So rather than looking out into the world and saying, okay, how can I slot in? It's again going deeper a level internally and saying, what, regardless of opportunities in the world, what is it that I really want for myself? Whether it's applauded by others or not. Okay. That then, Saturn and Uranus, they square each other, and Uranus sesqui squares the new moon, right? And they create this red triangle. If you read any astrology book, they'll talk about grand trines and mystic rectangles and kites and stuff. They won't talk about triangles of friction, because I made that up. It's two sesqui squares and a square. They give you energy, but you tend to go round and round and round. And here it's, do I learn and listen to society, or do I learn and listen from myself in order to make plans for the future? And I would say because the North Node is on Uranus, the better way is to go to the University of Self within to do your research in here rather than out there, because that's going to give you better answers, I think. Okay, so those are the aspect patterns the moon forms with other things in the chart. We do have a grand trine in the chart between the rising in Cancer and then the midheaven in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces and the south node in Scorpio. There are 3 trines there and they combine to create a big blue triangle. If you tilt your head a bit, you can see it at the center here. And a big blue triangle like this, oh, and it's a kite. I just noticed that. So the grand trine, the blue triangle in itself is an area of major talent. And it's in the element of water. And water is connection to the higher realms. It's love. spirituality, creativity, and really seeing what connects you with other people and what feels loving. And it really ignores things like contracts and money and your purpose. It's very much about your relationships and feeling the love and a sense of belonging. So you're very good with other people. Then we have the two sextiles sitting on top of one of the trines, and they pull Uranus and the North Node in Taurus into this grand trine, creating a kite. If you look at it, it looks exactly like a kite. And a kite is a talent that's so profound as such that, like a kite, it can take off and take wing and fly around, and everyone else looks at it and is inspired. And Uranus in Taurus and the North Node in Taurus, the big talent here is, or the thing that can take off and take on a life of its own, are these hopes and dreams that you uproot within yourself, that you dig out, and then you can look at. And the unusual, amazing thing, exceptional thing, is that you can then implement things to realize those hopes and dreams in your actual life, and that then is going to change your future. Your life is going to look very differently. So a number of people on this day are going to be able to change their lives once and for all. And that's such a great feeling. You know, if you've been stuck in something for a while, and then you're able to leave it behind after like many, many attempts of trying to change it, it's like, oh, finally I made it. It's such an achievement. Anything else? Let's see. Mars doesn't really feature largely. Jupiter I've mentioned. Neptune and Chiron are around that, but again, no. Again, no. It's... And Pluto and Capricorn allows you to work on your relationships and to alter them. Yeah. So I think those are the key things that have jumped out at me from this chart. I hope it gives you something to work with, and that you have a wonderful time, and that you're able to really improve your relationships and like set goals and get clear on what those are for future. So it's a new moon that rewards you a lot and gives you a lot of stuff to work with. It's really amazing. I hope you have a great time. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, scroll down a little bit until you get to a button that says book your reading. Click on that to order your reading with me. In my personal readings, I use astrology, the tarot, and numerology. I combine all three, the way I combine the numbers here. So 1 and 9 is 10, 1. I combine all three divination systems to answer any questions you've got. So if you're asking what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what the best job would be for you, like a vocation, family life, finances, travel, education, institutions, relationships, love, romance, spiritual development. If you have any questions at all, please do get in touch with me for a personal reading. To draw up your birth chart, I just need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then order a chart rectification with me. That's a process where you send me 10 or more life events, and then I manually work out your time of birth. And that helps because the chart changes every 4 minutes. So the more accurate the time is, the more accurate the chart is going to be. So if you are interested in that, please do get in touch with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing time here during this new moon. And I'll speak to you for the daily tarot readings, the weekly horoscopes, and any other videos that are on the channel. Have a wonderful week, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.